People who suffer from drug or alcohol addiction sometimes say hurtful things. They drive the people who love them most away. If you know someone who suffers from drug or alcohol addiction, listen. Try to hear what they are really saying. Know that there is hope and help them find their voice again. For drug or alcohol treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We train to any environment, any situation. It could be up on a mountain, on a cliff. It could be in the ocean. It could be a dive mission. It could be out in the desert or the jungle, Arctic. And that's what makes us unique. The motto of the Pararescuemen is that others may live. When you go and you rescue these people, the look on their faces is extremely gratifying, and that's the reward in itself. I'm Captain John Fish, and very proud to be a member of the Air Force Reserve.
For a free booklet on the dangers of smoking, contact the Will Rogers Institute.
Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I'm your host, Danatus King, and we'll spend this next hour with one purpose in mind, and that one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be was made by God. Everything that ever happened, is happening right now, or ever will happen was made to happen by God. God is a master plan for all time and all creation. God is Almighty. The message is brought to you by, is produced by the Society of Knowledge Incorporated. The Society is an interdenominational, religious, spiritual organization. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs, there's one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common. And that's the knowledge that there is a being, by no matter what name you may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name you may have come to know that being, whether that name be God, Allah, Yahweh, Jesus, Jehovah, Buddha, nature, by no matter what name, we know that there is a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. We know that there is indeed an almighty being. That's the reason we do this show, and the only reason we do this show, to deliver the message that that being that personally I call God, that being is indeed almighty. Today is June the 29th, 2017. I remind you of that fact because tonight, as we are on most Thursdays, we are live. And I remind you of that fact because this show is an open discussion. It's a two-way conversation. For those of you that are watching by television, you see the telephone number that's on your screen. I invite you to use that number, call in, and join the discussion. For those of you that are watching by Facebook, I encourage you to post a message, post a comment, and we will try to respond to your comment live as the show goes on. And as I say, share information with the world, because as I speak right now, this show is being seen, and let me back up because I got a little bit ahead of myself. If there's something that's going on in your church, your mosque, your masjid, your temple, your place of worship, and you want to let the world know about it, call in and let the world know about it. If there's something that's going on in your nonprofit organization and you want to let the world know about it, call in and let the world know about it. More important than what's going on in your place of worship, at least in my opinion, more important than what's going on in your place of worship, more important than what's going on in your nonprofit organization. If there's something that God has done for you in your life, a miracle that God has worked in your life, and I make this very clear every week. When I say a miracle, I mean literally a miracle. You see, we read all different types of history books, all different types of religious and spiritual works about miracles that God, or whatever name you use, has worked 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. I'm here to share with you that God is working miracles today. That's right. June 29th, 2017, the God I'm here to tell you about is working miracles. So if God worked a miracle in your life, it might have been some health problems that you were having. Medicine didn't work. Doctors didn't work. Nothing healed your body, but miraculously God healed your body. It may have been some relationship problems that you had. You might have gone to counselors. Counselors didn't help. It may have been an addiction that you suffered with. Went through all types of 12-step programs. Nothing could cure you, but God worked a miracle in your life. If God has worked a miracle in your life, no matter what kind of miracle, if God has worked a miracle in your life, I encourage you to call in or post a Facebook comment. Share your testimony with the world. You know, it may be someone that's going through some similar problems today. Maybe someone is suffering a health issue similar to what you suffered. Maybe them hearing your testimony today, how God worked a miracle, healed you. That might be the one thing that they need to hear to give them strength, to encourage them, to help them to hold on. So call in, post your comments, share your testimony with the world. You know, I've been speaking a little bit fast, and for those of you that are regular viewers, we're going to have a change to the format tonight. You know, we always have our announcements. We're not going to have our board up tonight with the announcements on it, but if you do have an announcement that you want to make, you know, call in and you can leave a Facebook comment. And I see, brother, this is live. Again, this is live. All right, I see Brother Wilbert, Sister Johnson, thank you for tuning in on Facebook. If you have a comment, if you have some information, put your post on Facebook, put your comment on Facebook, or call in. As I said, we're not going to go through our announcements that we regularly do because we have a full show tonight. I'm excited about the show. We have some guests, in-studio guests. You know, so even though we're not going to have our board up with the comments, we're not going to go through our religious discussion as far as our words of inspiration. All that's going to be wrapped up. We're going to take up this entire hour with our guests. And that's enough of me talking. I want to welcome our guests. I'm going to start to my immediate left. And we have in studio the Divine Prince Ty Emmecca. Prince, welcome.
Alafia, thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be here.
All right, and next to the Divine Prince, we have Brother Joshua Tanner. How you doing, brother?
Doing well.
Let's see if I can spread you over skill with Prince.
Yeah, no worries.
And next to Brother Tanner, we have Brother Olusa Onibide. Bade. I'm sorry, brother. All right.
How you doing, brother?
And these gentlemen, we're going to, our discussion topic, for those of you that get our announcements, our discussion topic tonight is the conflict between spirituality and religion in the black community. Okay? The conflict between spirituality and religion in the black community. So if you have an opinion about that, if you have a comment about that, call in and make a comment or post a comment on Facebook. And for those of you that are new to the show, feel free. Your comments, this is open. We're not censoring anything except for we do not encourage, if you have some vulgarity, that won't come through. Anything, and if you hear something expressed on this show and you have a differing opinion, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But we know how to disagree without being disagreeable. So if you have an opinion, that opinion is welcome, just like the next person's opinion. So call in, and even more important, if you have some knowledge, that you want to share, I encourage you to call in, post your comment, and share your knowledge. All right, and as always, we don't have the screen up, so we can make that announcement, but as always, as it says in Thessalonians, prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Prove all things. So if you hear me say something, if you hear one of our callers say something, if you hear one of our guests say something, don't take it for fact. Prove it for yourself. And if you find it to be true, hold on to it. And if not, let it go. And if not, I encourage you to call in and enlighten us, share your knowledge with the world. So having said all of that, we're going to start out, and what I'd like to do is let each of our guests have an opportunity to tell a little bit about themselves, who they are, what they're into, and then we'll get into discussing. We have about enough material actually to take up a whole year's worth of shows, and we're going to try to compress as much as we can into this evening. But I make no promises about that, and it's quite likely that we will probably have these gentlemen on the show again in the future. But having said all that, let's start out. Divine Prince, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Divine, our blessed. Well, I am a authentic practicing voodoo priest, New Orleans voodoo priest. I've been practicing voodoo most of my life. For the benefit of your audience, I will share that I have a strong evangelical Christian background. It has a great deal to do with how I came to voodoo in the first place.
No, wait, let me. And sometimes I'm rude, but the voodoo, that's something that's make believe, or what is that?
No, voodoo, like Christianity, like Islam, like Judaism, is a religion. Many believe it to be the oldest organized religion in the world. We brought voodoo with us here to the U.S. by way of the Middle Passage. One of the mistales about voodoo is that we got voodoo from Haiti, but Haiti only reinforced the voodoo that was already here and brought that out into the open. From the day that we were allowed to gather in Congo Square, and many of you know that we gathered on Sundays in Congo Square because slaves were not fed on Sundays. So we were allowed to gather there, grow crops of food there to share. Vending began in Congo Square, but so too did dancing kalinda, dancing bambula. And so it's not a stretch to believe that if we were able to remember our rhythms and remember our dance, surely remember the gods and the systems and the religious culture that came with those rhythms.
All right, we're gonna come back into that. When I said earlier that is not really structured, we might go this way or that way. You see, but tell us about the Divine Prince. A little bit more about the Divine Prince.
Well, when I'm not doing voodoo, I'm also a professional actor and cultural performer. I'm a masking Mardi Gras Indian here in the city. I presently mask Black Hawk Voodoo, which is a maroon tribe, and our goal, our mission is to not only honor the ancestors by way of the Indians, but also the escaping slaves who the Indians embraced. Just as I said that I believe we didn't lose our memory in Congo Square, I also don't believe that we somehow forgot our African roots when we were immersed into Indian culture. In my opinion, masking Indian is an African masquerade egungun tradition. Egungun meaning that which honors the ancestors, that which recognizes the ancestors. So when we mask Indian, we're honoring those who came before us, who laid the foundation, who assisted us in our emancipation from slavery.
All right, I see Sister Sandra, Brother Joseph, Brother Monty. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. And there's some more information that we're going to get out. That I went to your website, and I think you've appeared on Queen Sugar.
Queen Sugar, American Horror Story, help me out, y'all. NCIS New Orleans. I'm a regular working actor and cultural performer here in the city.
It's good to hear that you're a working actor. I can get a loan from you. I'll be talking to you later on. All right. We have hey, look, hey, you know. All right. Brother Tanner, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
How you doing, man? Yeah, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm actually was born here. I'm a family. I have generations of family here in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Actually, my great uncle was the first black fireman, George Oliver Mundy, Sr., in New Orleans. First paid African American firefighter. Also, I just actually relocated back to New Orleans about 3 years ago by the way of the arts, acting, and performing. I am also masking Mardi Gras Indian. I'm the wild man of the Black Hawk Voodoo tribe. And yeah, I'm here as a representative of someone who came from also from an evangelical background, Christian background, and actually studied a lot of, actually went to college and studied theology, excuse me. And now am practicing in African traditional religion and voodoo. So.
All right, yeah. All right. Are you related to the Brother Tanner at the automobile that was burned up after the storm? Brother, when they killed Brother Glover? And
I'm not that I know of. Not that I know of, yes.
No, right. I don't know if you're all familiar with that.
No,
Brother Glover was killed.
Yes, I remember.
Mm-hmm. They burned his body up. The brothers caught it. His body was in. His name, I think, William Tanner.
William Tanner.
Right. All right. The brother on Ibadi. Getting better?
Oluso. Would you call me Papa O? Papa O.
Papa O?
Yeah.
All right. Papa O. All right. All right. Papa O. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, by way of Memphis, Tennessee. I studied the culture for 4 years and been practicing for about 2 years, and just recently became initiated into the House of Divine Prince. I'm a park ranger in St. Louis City, and I also love gardening and studying medicine. And that's all about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Duvall, Sister Karen, Sister Beverly, Brother Robert, thanks for joining us on Facebook. I understand we do have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, good evening.
That sounds like Brother Chris. How you doing, brother?
All right.
Do you have something you want to share with us?
Yes, I have a question for the panel.
All right, go right ahead, brother.
Okay, my question is, do y'all believe in Jesus Christ?
Okay.
Did he rose from the dead?
All right, Brother Chris, see, there's no tenderfooting into it. We just jump right into it. Thank you, Brother Chris. So let's break that down. We had a couple of, 2 questions. Okay, 1, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And then number 2, did Jesus rise from the dead? And we'll give each of our guests an opportunity to respond. And then we'll get into a little bit more about the House of Divine Prince and about the religion of Voodoo. Okay, Divine Prince. Okay, do you believe in Jesus Christ?
First and foremost, absolutely not. I don't believe in Jesus Christ. I don't believe he rose from the dead. Now, having said that, if you do your homework, you do your study, you'll find many gods, many deities in Egypt, Kemet, Meroe, in the ancient world that were born of a virgin, crucified or killed in some similar fashion, and then were said to have risen from the dead. In fact, we will be featuring a artistic showcase at Essence Fest this year with the artist Cam Ridley, who painted Brother Joshua completely gold, and he is representing the Egyptian god Asar. Many of you know him as Ptah, P like Paul, T-A-H, who was also said to have been risen from the dead. As a former evangelical Christian, in my early 20s, that would have been very difficult to say live and on camera. After many years of study, many years of research, I can say confidently, no, I don't believe in the Jesus. I think that's a great segue into the topic about religion and spirituality, particularly in the black church and ultimately in the black community. It governs a great deal about what we believe about ourselves, about life, about God. I have a very difficult time embracing the religion, the practice, the culture given to me, forced upon me by the slave master, by the very same person who enslaved, who raped my great-grandparents, who split up families, who maimed and killed and did harm to millions of our people.
In the name of Jesus Christ.
In the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Islam, in the name of Judaism. I see all three of those religions as a different side of the same coin. I'm not anti-religious. I'm not anti-religion. I'm not even anti-Christianity. Both of my parents are well-known evangelical Christians. I have people in my family, first cousins, second cousins, well-known, televised, international evangelical Christians. So my position here is not to challenge your faith, your belief. If you choose to believe in Jesus Christ, continue to believe. But as a practitioner of traditional African-based religious systems, no, I don't believe in the Jesus. I don't believe in the risen story. And so that would then suggest that I don't believe I need that Jesus for my salvation. My salvation is in my ancestors and those who came before. My ancestors were good enough before the colonizers and the oppressors brought religion.
All right. Brother Tanner?
My answer to that question is actually no. I do not believe in Jesus Christ.
And you studied theology?
I studied theology, yes, I have. And I do not believe in the resurrection at all. I've studied that in very, very, very close detail, down to the fact that if those who know about the Bible and knows how the Bible was written, put together, the four Gospels of the Bible, the oldest Gospel, which is Mark, in that book. If anyone who has a study Bible can look into the study Bible and look at the 16th chapter of Mark. The 16th chapter of Mark originally ended at the 9th verse. And that 9th verse is when Jesus died. The rest of the other verses remaining after that was put in 300 years after, in 300 BC.
And whose Bible are we talking about?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, of course, yeah. But, I mean, that based on that and based on the study Bible and the study footnotes and the study that I've done, and even in the study Bible, it tells you that this is not supposed to be taught as doctrine, specifically, in the Bible, in the study Bible.
That's an interesting word to use just now, doctrine.
Doctrine, yes.
All right, Papa.
I don't believe in the Savior of Jesus Christ. I don't look for anyone to save me other than my ancestors and myself. My thoughts on Christ, or what it is to be, or what being saved by Christ is, having an elevated mind, or transcending mind, and expanding that and learning all there is and experiencing things on this earth. I wouldn't look for a man or someone to save me. Definitely if he resurrected. You got zombies walking around here.
Sounds like Voodoo.
Sounds like, some fictional thing to me. But there is a way you can elevate your mind, and you can be elevated being upon this earth, and you can heal yourself and heal others and heal your community. And you won't do that if you're looking to someone else to do that.
Outside yourself, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to get into this discussion a little bit more. And we have about a half an hour. And Brother Chris, thank you for calling in those questions. I have a couple of questions just to move the discussion along a little bit. But before we do that, tell us about the House of the Divine Prince.
The House of the Divine Prince is, first of all, our mission is to not proselytize voodoo. And I want to be clear about that.
Now, wait, that's a big word you use just now.
Yeah, I'm not here to save you, to convince you, to sell you on my religion.
To convert you.
To convert you, to program you, to bring you into the cult of Christianity. That's not what I'm here to do. However, I am here to present an option, particularly for this generation. Many people are burnt out on the church, burnt out on religion. I have a very tragic background, very abusive dad, violent dad, committed sex crimes against my sister and other young women in the family. I come from one of the largest black churches in the Maryland, D.C. area. So I've seen church from both sides of the pew. I'm a former evangelical minister of music. I sing, I play the piano. I would have been loyal to the system of Christianity in my former life. But I saw too many abuses there. I saw too many opportunities for the church to embrace the communities surrounding them. $1 million temples in the midst of the poorest communities in our cities. Crime, murder. Here in New Orleans, the murder and the amount of killing that's going on in the presence of these churches who often remain silent, that's a problem for me. I came to voodoo in my own journey. You talked about the miracle. I am the miracle.
All right.
Forced to leave home at 14, forced out onto the street as a young kid to find my way in the world while my church-going religious family sat back and not only watched but passed judgment on me, helped to feed my motivation for seeking something else. And many of you millennials, younger people, are looking for something else. I started with me. God spoke to me and said, start with yourself. So for me, that meant wait.
See, God spoke to you.
God spoke to me.
Wait. Your pastor spoke to you?
No, God spoke to me in an audible voice. In an audible voice.
What?
Let me be clear.
No, hold on, friend. Now, see this gentleman right now, he just said that God spoke to him. All right? Now, some of you may not believe that. Now, we talked about that on this show. And God speaks to each and every last one of us every day, all day. I ain't trying to convince you of that. I'm just letting you know. And it's good to hear somebody else talk about God spoke to him. But, now that I think about that, that's really not that unique, because through all of the major religious works, that's right, it talks about God speaking directly to folks without an intercessor, without an interpreter. So I had to, we just flow here.
And that's also the difference between being religious and being spiritual. I know some extremely religious folks that God has never spoken to, who've never had a miraculous event take place in their life, who've never seen the power of God and Spirit work on their behalf.
All right, Prince, and I didn't interrupt, but I see Sister Calista has not only joined us, but she shared this stream on Facebook. So I want to encourage all of you that are watching on Facebook, share it. Okay, share it with your friends and encourage them to join this discussion. You have a comment, and I see Brother Joseph's interesting topic. Keep up the good work. Thank you, brother. That's encouraging. Brother Stephen, thank you for joining us. just a couple of things, and we're going to get, and you see I just jump all over the place. But let's get back, and I want to make sure that our viewers have this information as far as the House of Divine Prince. Is there a physical location?
Yes.
Okay, and a phone number, a website, some contact information for folks that want some more information.
House of the Divine Prince is a legitimate voodoo ministry. We not only study, teach, share, practice voodoo, West African-based religious systems, and I am a certified licensed minister in voodoo with the Universalist Spiritualist Church. We do have a physical location in historic Treme. I won't readily give out my address, even though it's very easy to find. I don't really want people to just sort of show up at the door. I do ask that you establish an appointment with me by way of my website and email. My website is www.houseofthedivineprince.com. And my direct email address is divineprince with an I, D-I-V-I-N-E, Prince at houseofthedivineprince.com. I almost always respond, if not right away, within a reasonable amount of time. I will schedule appointments not only for readings, consultations, spiritual work, but also as an historian, storyteller. I can share information about historic Treme as it relates to voodoo, Marie Laveau, St. Louis Cemetery #1, all the things people are curious about who often come into our city, Congo Square even, and I invite your emails by way of Divine Prince at houseofthedivineprince.com.
All right, viewers, I just want to share something with you. You go to show you how the spirit works. You know, we have a whole lot of folks that are in town right now and will be in town for the next 3 or 4 days with the Essence. So if you, for a different experience, not only for different experience, but to gain some knowledge, I encourage you to let them know about the House of the Divine Prince. And it's an authentic taste of New Orleans. And I don't know if you've been able to pick it up, but I have, that this is not, some a charlatan. It's not any kind of flim-flam. We're going to get a little bit deeper into the discussion. So, it's good when you get tired of listening to Frankie Beverly and Mary J. Blige. This is something that you can, a little bit cultural awareness. You can give the Divine Prince a call and participate and maybe gain a little bit knowledge. Brother Tanner and Papa O, he said that you all are practicing voodoo initiates. Brother Tanner, let's start out with you, and then we'll go to you, Papa O. But y'all look, y'all just chime in. Okay, yeah. We'll say, get in
where you fit in.
Where you fit in. All right. How did you get into being a practicing voodoo initiate?
I guess I can start off. It started a while ago. I really wasn't really aware of what I was getting myself into, but just like how Divine Prince did actually mention how God told him to go inside him, to look at himself and to fix himself, change himself in order to change the world around you. I decided to do that with myself, which was revolutionary, and it was very scary, very, it was a tough time. That time, but it was something that was needed, because I was grown up in the church, and I was always taught to look outside myself for permission, or look outside myself for a sign, rather than looking inside myself for the sign and really figuring out what it is that I want. And that is really what it took for me to really go out courageously, just go out and just go after whatever I wanted. That's actually how I got into acting too, also. Something that I just discovered later in life. But then I started meditating and doing other things, looking inside myself, different practices, and from Eastern religions, started looking at different religion systems, Egyptian religions. But I knew it was more that I knew I didn't connect with that the way I connected with I knew the connection wasn't that strong in those religions, but there was information in there that did help me, and I was able to glean from and actually use to actually get me through those times. But as I came back to New Orleans, really, it's really when I really started to get a big understanding of who I was, and started asking questions to my family about different things, their culture here in New Orleans, our culture here in New Orleans, excuse me, and just practicing, just asking questions about myself and the extensions of myself. And also, one big part of it was really taking a DNA analysis of me, figuring out where I came from specifically, and just getting that information was very vital to getting a really good grip on exactly where I needed to be spiritually.
All right. Before we go to you, Papo, we see Brother Frank has joined, and my big girl, my oldest daughter, is out in Houston. She's joined. So I love you. All right, Nat. Papo.
Well, it started for me as a child. I was raised in a Christian house, but my mama was always open to exploring different religions and things like that. And I could say because of her that always brought my curiosity. But as a child, I had these gifts, and I used to think that those gifts were.
Hold on now, wait. What do you mean gifts?
Well, you have a knowing. Like for once, when I was in the 6th grade, I had this teacher, and she was, and I was Christian at the time, a little kid, and she didn't know, but I knew that her parent was about to die.
Oh,
and
we got, like they do on TV about suspense, holding suspense. All right, so we're gonna hold Papo in. We're gonna hold all of us in suspense so we can find out what Papo is talking about. But I understand we do have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Good evening. How you doing, caller? Hello? Caller?
Hi. Okay, I didn't know I was on the air.
You're on the air. Why don't you just give us your first name? And turn your TV
Cynthia.
down. Turn your TV down and just listen through the phone.
Okay.
All right.
I have a grandmother. She was born in the middle to late 1800s. She was called Mother Catherine. She was a voodoo queen. I'm trying to find her, or her history of her, and all of my people. I just lost my station, so I can't hear what you're saying. But anyway, right. Her name was, they called her Mother Catherine. She was a voodoo queen. And my father's name was William Robertson, her son. But when I do the research, I cannot find anything on her. Since you guys are into voodoo, I mean, I don't know anything about it. Maybe you may have some history on her, because I'm trying to find my people here in New Orleans.
All right, give me your first name, sister.
My name?
Yeah, your first name.
Cynthia.
All right, Sister Cynthia, what we'll do is, before the show is over, we will give you the Divine Prince's phone number again and the website, and then you all will be able to communicate, and maybe he can help you to research that.
Okay, wonderful. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sister. And look,
thank you.
While you're watching, call a couple of your friends up and tell them about the program. Thank you, sister.
Okay.
All right.
Will do. All right. Thank you.
All right. Okay. And let me. I want to for our new viewers, for our in-studio guests that may not have really seen the show before. I stopped you, Papo, first to take that call, and then secondly, when you speak about, I think you said gifts.
Prophetic gifts.
Okay, yeah. Gifts. One of the things that we've spoken about on this show before are powers, and there are many in the spiritual world, many in the religious world, many in the scientific world. that not only believe in powers, but know them. So I wanted to get that out to let you know, to feel at ease in your discussion, that is not something that I'm stopping you, for derision or for ridicule or anything else like that, but to let you know and let our viewers know that this is not a new topic and that, your comments are welcome. So go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so I knew this, and at that age, I had a hard time trying to tell this grown woman that you need to go to Alabama and be with your mother. I felt like I was out of place. But anyway, I just had the strongest urge to do that. And then I told her, and then she trusted me. She trusted me. And I was a bad kid in class, I was one of those, bad kids. But she trusted me, and she went on. And then when she got back, that was one of the best things that could have happened to her, because if she wouldn't have known that, her mother would have passed on without her even, Yeah. And from then on, beyond that, those things would happen to me all throughout. But it was in 2013, I had this dream. And the dream, my ancestors, they was dressed in white. And I seen familiar faces I didn't know. And they marched in front of me. And then it was this old man, he gave me this statue. And then it was one of the ancestors looked like he ain't supposed to have that. And then he said, "This is yours. Keep it." This happened for 2 nights in a row. Then from there, I had this urge to learn more about African traditions and ancestral reverence and things, and taking my DNA, and that was a big key to understanding what path I should be on. Being the fact that I was, 32% Mali, 18% Congo and Nigerian and things like that, that made me understand that I needed to incorporate all these traditions. And one thing they had in common was the ancestral reverence.
All right. And we've heard Brother Tanner speak about that DNA also, that research. As I said, man, this is this is a year's worth of.
It's a requirement in my house. Anyone who initiates with me or comes to me to study or learn ancestral reverence, we require DNA. I'm a little bit older than both of these gentlemen, and so I can remember a time, and I'm sure you do too, in the 70s when it was Swahili and Kenya.
I'm not that old.
And so we embraced Habaragani, and we embraced Kiswahili, and we embraced Kwanzaa because it symbolized all of Mother Africa and cultural heritage for us as a people. But over time, technology has improved. Our knowledge of where we've come from has improved. And now with the, miraculous science of DNA, we can get very specific about where we come from and who our people are or were. For generations, my family believed we were Black Indian and that we were part Indian. There was 0 Indian in my test. Found out I was actually Creole. No one had ever mentioned that before in my upbringing or in the conversations to be had within my family. So we use DNA as a tool for narrowing down ethnic groups, families, backgrounds, so that we can clarify that spiritual journey that many of us partake. They both spoke of, as well as myself, traveling a religious journey where you kind of go from one religion to another, sort of finding yourself. And I think, unfortunately, because of some of the symptoms of PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder, and white supremacy.
Let's slow down a second. See, I don't want that one to sneak by. All right, see, when you say PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but say that again.
Post-traumatic slave disorder.
Slave disorder, all right. First time I heard that one.
Yeah, where we cling to that which was gifted to us, forced upon us, beat into us by the slave master. That includes the religion of Christianity. We've sort of given their religion a black face, gospel and the black church, and I honor, that history. We wouldn't have survived without those black churches. But I believe the community is beginning to evolve now. We're sort of burned out on the mega church. We're sort of burned out on the scandal. We just can't see past to get another $70,000 car, while the community is still suffering. So people are beginning to look out. And often these world religions like meditation, Buddhism, Kemetic studies, other religions are available to us, particularly with the help of the internet. Google makes it really easy for us to explore these other worlds now. But many of us now are coming back to our own, which for many is in West Africa and West African religious spiritual tradition.
All right, we only have about another 13 minutes or so left in the show, and we talked about the topic was supposed to be the conflict between spirituality and religion. We've kind of skirted that issue, but I'm going to invite you all back on the show so that we get a little bit deeper into that discussion. So that's an invitation. I don't know how you all are open next week.
I have to get back to you. I have to check my schedule.
All right. What we're going to do, the invitation is open.
Okay.
And we'll get back into this discussion about the conflict between spirituality and religion. But as we're going to flow and close out these last 12 minutes, there are a couple of, on this show, maybe a few weeks ago, there was some discussion. Do we have a caller? Can we have a caller? Caller, are you there?
Yes, hello, you hear me?
Yes. Is that?
Good evening.
Good evening. Give your first name, please.
Edward.
All right, Brother Edward.
Okay, my thing is this. We teach our children many things, and we also learn things, right? But the main thing we don't teach our children about why we are here and why we was created. We teach our children how to ride bikes. We teach our children ABCs. And I'd like to know from your panel, do they have the God that they say they talk to? Do you have a book of instruction of those that don't?
All right, let's start. We're gonna start with Papa, then we come this way. All right. Look, it's over. No, it's over.
Okay.
Gentlemen,
Get him.
He's qualified. I taught him well.
Yes, we do. We have a system of instruction. We have what we call Odu, and this Odu is the instruction of everything. It teaches us, the instruction from science to creation to how we are to govern ourselves as individuals, how we are to communicate with one another and read our elders, and to have good character, what it takes for us to personally have good character. There are several different...
And it's a book?
No.
It's not a literal book, but it's a system when you go into West African tradition. To keep it simple and not make it confusing, we have ethnic groups, or I'll say families. So in Yoruba, they have Ifa. In other ethnic families, the Iwe, which I'm Iwe, and Fanti, we have Fa, which is really the same word without the I. That produces this Odu system. And this Odu system is a language of sorts that's used in the creation of your computers. Your computers operate on this same binary coding system. So through divination, we're able to get the code or the binary product, and then with that is attached a series of proverbs, a series of plants for healing and for other purposes, a series of stories that, like proverbs or psalms, that explain in detail, as Brother O said, how we live, how we should function in union with God and with creation. And we call that Odu. Right. So yes, we do. Yeah.
All right, Brother Edmund. Thanks for the question, Brother Edward, rather. As I was saying on this show a few weeks ago, one of the things that we discussed, and that was the Tower of Babel. That at one point, that all men understood each other, and it got to the point whereas the Bible says that God said that, look, you all are accomplishing too much, so I have to stop this and slow down this progress. And he confused man's tongue and spread them all over the earth so they could no longer understand each other. And from time to time, I bring that up because what we are hearing, a lot of times we will hear it, but it's just a different language. Mm-hmm. It's said a little bit differently, but it's stuff that's already out there. I heard Brother Tanner say that it came a point where you were directed by the Spirit, mm-hmm. and I don't know what title you use, but that you were directed to not look outside mm-hmm. for signs. And we find that same instruction in the Bible as far as Jesus Christ saying, "Oh, you didn't look for signs." Of course. That same. So, a lot of times if we just slow down and listen, we'll see that we really saying the same thing. Of course. Just different language, yes. Maybe different little flavor to it.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And I mean, I'm not the teaching of Jesus Christ is a very profound thing when you understand it, and you understand the virtues of those stories, and you focus on the principles of those stories. You get, as from my personal experience, as you said, as you're talking about, like how it's just said with a different tongue or a different language. As I looked at this differently after I've gotten out of Christianity, and I go back and I look at the Bible from time to time because I know it very well, and I look at it now, I glean more principles and more education from that now than I did when I was a Christian, when I was saved, when I was in the church, because I understand that the focus, Jesus taught in parables for a reason. They're stories, and these stories teach lessons. We don't need to focus on the figurative or the literal sense of these stories. You have to focus on the principles that he's trying to teach you, he's trying to show and display or to demonstrate.
Papa, just to change the subject just for a second. I see you dressed in white. Now there's an event that's going on here tomorrow.
That's my office Saturday.
All right, Saturday. All right. Why don't you tell us just a little bit for some of our visitors that might be in town about the Ma'afa, what it is, and
sure. Ma'afa is an annual event that's held. We meet and gather in Congo Square. Many of you know Congo Square as Armstrong Park. This year we're meeting at 7 a.m. There's usually some speakers, prayers, a libation that's poured, and then we'll process through historic Treme. Usually we'll come out of the park, go down North Villeray through Treme, headed towards St. Augustine Church, the Tomb of the Unknown Slave. We'll go through the French Quarter, down Charter Street to the old slave market where they used to sell slaves on charter. Then we'll head to the river, and there at the river we'll throw flowers symbolizing our commemoration, our honor of those who survived and those who did not survive, what is known as the Middle Passage. The Middle Passage is that leg of the ships that travel between the coast of West Africa to the New World and then here to the States bringing slave cargo.
Mm-hmm. All right, and that Middle Passage, for some that may not be aware, for ships to sail a ship from the African continent to the North America, you don't want that ship to ever be empty. Mm-hmm. So there was cargo being brought from Africa to North America. And then there was cargo being brought from North America back to, I don't know what the other port was, but it was a 3-leg trip.
Back to Europe.
So that's where we come up with the middle.
The cotton and the sugar and the other substances, produce that we produced here, they then carried back. And sugar was a big one.
All right. The tomorrow, 9 o'clock or 8:30?
Saturday, 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. Saturday. It's always the first Saturday in July. This year is July 1st, 7 a.m. at Congo Square.
All right. We have really just about 2 minutes left. So in these last 2 minutes, if you give us that telephone number and that website again.
I can be reached at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. houseofthedivineprince.com. My direct email address is divineprince, and that's divine with an I, D-I-V-I-N-E, prince at houseofthedivineprince.com. I do welcome your phone calls, but often I'm very busy. I could be filming a movie or on set, so I often don't answer my calls. So I always ask people to send me email, and I'll definitely respond and give you an appointment.
All right. Brother Tanner, 30 seconds.
I'm just glad to be here. I'm just glad to be here and have this open discussion in this open space. Also, to let you guys know, I will be, as the Divine Prince did mention, I'll be out from 1 to 5 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Essence Fest, and exhibit B2 at the Cam Ridley space, where I'll be posed as the god Ptah, which is actually symbolic to the awards, Academy Award, Oscar. So I'll be posed as Oscar. I'll be there. You can come by. You can take a photo of us, of me, and also Emmy. She'll be there also, a female model that will be posed as the Emmy Awards. We're just trying to promote diversity in the awards and the Academy, to bring in more, people of color and to be more diverse in its selection of contestants.
Remember, they said there were no blacks at the Oscar, so we want to remind people that these symbols, Emmy and Oscar, are actually black gods and black symbolism.
All right, Papa.
I just want to encourage everybody to, look out and study, the traditions, look into them, investigate them. If you have questions, call and ask. Remember, before you get to any deity, it's your ancestors first.
All right, we have to wrap it up and hear the music. It's been great having you gentlemen on. We're going to have to bring you back. All right, nice having you.
Definitely.
Nice having you. All right, my brother. And again, not trying to convince anybody of anything, only delivering the message that there's an almighty being. Whether you believe it or not, that's between you and the Almighty. Just delivering that message. Until we meet again in this upcoming week, no matter whatever God might have in store for you, is my prayer that God blesses you and yours with peace.
Thank you for calling your GED Pep Talk Center. All right, now, are you ready for your GED Pep Talk?
Being nervous is okay. It just shows that you're serious about getting your diploma.
A lot of things are scary. Heck, I'm scared of clowns.
No quiero oír